Hello, my lovers. It's MJ from Ultra Love. I want to do the daily intuitive tarot reading, and this is something that I will likely be doing the most of the days alongside the collective intuitions. And some of you guys know that there's a live share crew as well, which is a subscription. Hey there, hail, hail, hail. So this is a general reading, my lovers, and the monthly readings are general as well. And it's ultimately to guide you guys to take some private bookings if you're feeling that the messaging is in resonance, especially when it comes to intuitive tarot readers, or any connection ultimately that we have. It's got to be resonant. You have to feel the hot love vibrashe and the purity between you and your guides, your workers, your mentors, whatever. So I'm MJ. Intuish reigns supreme. So that's how I read the cards. This is relatively new service for me, and I'm sort of amazed at the way the cards have supported myself and other people, just via the intuitive messages that I get when I read them. So it's not necessarily like traditional tarot, which again, regardless of things being traditional or not, you want to be resonant with them, with this spiritual awakening, mass spiritual awakening and paradigm shift happening on the planet. So when I do them live, I am quite open to all y'all asking some questions. I can pull cards for you or interpret meanings or share some perspective with you. That's part of going live ultimately. Hi Bacchus, how are you? Hi Zahira. Nice to see you guys here at Ultra Love TV. Welcome. Welcome to my channel. So there's a flowering taking place for some of you. You're really, I want to say, like expanding your consciousness, expanding your sense of self. Let's look at the general theme here on the cards. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities coming in. There's a Eight of Swords in the reverse. So some of all y'all are sort of finally taking the blindfolds off around some limiting beliefs that we have that potentially have created conflict and also created a sense of abusing power. There's a death card that's running right through the central theme of the reading. So what's dying in our lives is this abuse of power and the conflict that it creates ultimately. Abuse of power creates tower moments. So when we're not in our full integrity, when we're not in our authenticity, it will come bring that which is not upheld with truth in your authenticity will come crashing down. And so that's the ultimate death symbol to me in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, is ultimately an ego death. Sometimes, depending on the cards that it lines up with, it can actually mean death as well. As we know, that's an ultimate transition for us as a human, is when we die. So in a spiritual sense, from New Paradigm perspective, the small d, death, can mean an aspect of self. So we're dying to a construct. We're dying to an egoic construct that we were attached to, which ultimately liberates us. Okay, so I'm getting that for some of you, there might be people or a person in your life who is going the other way. So while you're endeavoring to like go on this spiritual journey or listen to your intuition, there could well be, I'm hearing just a person who's like, that's great for you, off I go. Like, I'm gonna go back to this distorted reality. And that could be a real piece, and that's also part of all of this spiritual work and coming to know the self. Hey, Ara, how are you? So coming to know the self allows us to be sovereign and independent in truth. And so essentially it means that every being is their own source. And so we have to let people choose. And for some people, they can choose to stay in fear. They can choose to stay in practicality. They can choose to stay more invested in whatever they want to be invested in, right? And it's not up to us as a sovereign conscious creator to choose for other. Thus, it's not in us to control other, which really is a representation of our own fear and control patterns. If we want to latch on to people or control people or tell people what to do or whatever, we have to just know the self. So because there's a tower moment followed up by the death, and it's surrounded by a magician reverse, conflict card, and the imprisonment card, the 8 of Swords is like being in your own mental prison. Because the death card, see, this is where intuition comes in. In this reading, in the context of this reading, this death card to me is extraordinarily awesome. This death card to me is telling me that you're finally dying to some shit, basically. Dying to abusing power, dying to trying to build up the tower, dying to being in petty conflict about who's right and who's wrong, right? Hi Tanya. Hello Scott. How are you, familia? So, and then because the 8 of Swords is in the reverse and the Tower's in reverse, I'm like, we're the death is the completion bit. The death is like, these cycles, these people, these shitty things, these towers that we're trying to build up to be like, look at my tower. That is all an illusion that is actually a prison in our own mind. And finally, you're dying to it. Thank you, Tamia. So this death card to me is the ultimate completion. And here's another piece, if this is resonant. So there's this person in the reading, right, who I'm like, I'm pretty sure there might be like one person that's like, I'm not going with you. Again, this is general readings. I'm just interpreting the cards here. But there's like maybe one person, maybe a couple people, but it feels like just this like one person that might have been kind of significant to you in your life. And maybe the two of you were building the tower, or maybe you were building a business or something like that. That person's going to take their perspective and go the other way, basically. And like, I didn't watch the media one. Girl, you in for a good surprise. I got more vulnerabilities to share with all y'all, basically. Anywho, I'm not on social media anymore, which is extraordinarily liberating. Whoa. More balls out, just like do what you want. So regardless of the circumstances, John Beanie, dude, I just shared one of your links to your most recent, or not. I don't know, because I've been a little bit isolated even on the YouTube. I went on, and I want to say 16D or How It Feels, one of those playlists I shared on the community page. So, hi Patricia, how's it going, my lover? Oh my god, I have to stop calling you guys my lovers. They're like, what is this? What kind of shit show is this girl running? No. Okay. So yeah, the way I'm interpreting this reading is like there's this ultimate rising in as far as dying to the illusion. Yes, this totally general. This is always super general, okay? But we sometimes in general readings get threads of resonant connection. And that's usually when people start booking. And I would ultimately say, don't book private readings if you're not resonating with the way I read, because it's not likely to work. But that never happens. People don't book unless they resonate. So I don't know why I'm saying that. Okay, so there's this tower moment, basically with the death card here and being beside tower and the 8 of Swords in the reverse. It's like, I feel like blindfolds are fully coming off. You're fully coming out of this mental prison of cycles that you were in, towers that you were building up, and you're finally dying ultimately to this phase that you've been in, this cycle that you've been through of giving power away to externals, not owning your own power, thus possibly being in abuse cycles. Recognize self-abuse as well, where we're not allowing ourselves to receive, not allowing ourselves to be supported, feeling in conflict with the truth of who we are, and so keeping ourselves in this prison. That cycle is dying ultimately, because over here we have the Seven of Cups and Queen of Pentacles. So effectively what I'm getting here is that you rise to die, right? And then you end up in your seat of power. In the catbird seat. Now that sounds like paradoxical a little bit as well. So the Queen of Pentacles tells me that you end up in your seat. You end up in your throne. Let's not pretend to know how we get there, but just know that you end up in your Queen of Pentacles. You end up in total abundant connection to your source, in a peaceful, harmonious place of nature, with the creatures of the forest all around you, because there's like this little bunny rabbit there, and like the goats and the creatures on her throne basically, and the flowers and the wreaths surround her, and her crown fits extraordinarily well, and she caresses her pentacle, her finances, her wealth, as not an egoic attachment, but as the deservingness that she is ultimately. And what we walk away from is a false construct of imbalanced perception with the King of Pentacles. So what we're dying to, and this isn't gender specific, it's energies, and it's to do with imbalance and balance, right? So what you're essentially walking away from, and again, bear in mind, for some of you, you might have to let go of a person or something fairly relevant connected into the creation of your past that's going to choose to walk in a different direction. So you're going to have to let that go. The point is that I feel that part of the reason this person is walking away is that you're rising into a sense of belief that they can't maintain. They don't believe with the way you believe in yourself. And so it's quite right that they go in a different direction, because they're not actually believing in you. They don't actually, maybe they don't actually believe in themselves, right? Same thing. You, however, are sat here saying, I believe in myself. I'm ready to let this tower come down. I'm ready to die to the illusion. I'm ready to walk away from conflict that doesn't serve me. I'm ready to know the difference between authenticity and truth versus the abuse of that, the abuse of perceived power, using the physical reality to control, manipulate, and assuage people's perspectives. That is what ultimately you're dying to. And so within that death process, you're born into this Queen of Cups, which is in truth a holy divine state of being in union with the King of Pentacles. She arrives at the throne to assist that masculine energy to ultimately move and operate in a greater sense of ease and flow and balance. The depth, as it were, was probably just deeper than we could have imagined, which is why the Tower and the Death card is here. It's not been obvious. It's not something that gets handed to us. It's something that is revealed from within our own cosmic gate, right? Hey, what up, Kara? I'll see you soon, lover. And then, so to finish off here, the Queen of Pentacles, I feel like I might have missed some comments there. My girls and boys. There's boys and girls here, I believe. Vibes sprinkled with light bulb moments. There is a light bulb shining on me. I'm not normally this shiny. You Jody Watley just went in my head. Oh, is that a song? Shall I read it? I mean, is it a song? Shall I sing it? I sometimes like to sing, alright? I want to book one. I get paid tomorrow. Yeah! That's my excitement at you guys booking private readings. I get really chuffed and excited when they come through. So yeah, if it resonates, and again, I endeavor to do these daily intuitive live shares for all y'all, because it's helping with the channel, and I can't quite get over how liberated I feel to not be. Oh, see, now we can do that song. I feel like making love. I feel like making love to you. I'm looking at myself. Should I just make? Oh my god. This is why I do it live, because you guys bring out the cray cray in MJ, and it fills my beingness with joy, which is the only reason really I permission people to do anything at all. Do it for joy and sack off the rest. None of the rules that people tell us are ultimately real anyway. They're just rules that they made up because it worked for them. What is life? And then for an ultimate piece, you're like, wow, what's going to happen? It's like, well, more people are going to align themselves with the divine law and create and manifest a world from within that divinity. And then the way I put it down in my book is that once more of us are doing that, more of the people still maybe under veils or still choosing to just follow along and fit into the status quo, they're going to increasingly feel kind of oppressed and not as comfortable in the fear boxes. And so they're going to look over at different people like us going, hey, wait, they look fun, they look free, they look like they're genuinely effing happy. We're like, we're living freedom, da da da. And then more people will bounce out of the old paradigm and join the new paradigm, which is solution-based, resource-based. Basically, let's share and be honest rather than hoard and lie to each other about what's going on. Because if you pull on a thread when it comes to the social constructs, it's deep and dark. So it's our own darkness that we're transforming. Hence the death process. The death process, right? This ego death, it's not fun. It's not fun to own and transform your own bullshit. But as I can testify, I'm like, it just keeps on coming. You get used to it. Okay? You just get used to dealing with your own bullshit. I dreamt of Eckhart Tolle once. He put up his finger and said this missing ingredient is joy. Yeah. Hey, Daniel son. Thank you. And thank you for your comment around the social media one as well. I appreciate that you're still here. I really do. Yeah, because it's only our own self that we're ever dealing with, in essence. And, oh, God, sometimes breaking certain habits and patterns, especially ones that we've been carrying around for a long time, oh, God. It's like we choose to look at the shit. For real. Like we can choose to focus on the bullshit. And be like, God, the bullshit is so... it's like, yeah, and oh, look, there you go. You're still focusing on it, but it's so, you're still focusing on it. Hence why I appreciate this community, because you guys like trigger me and you test me to the edge, and I love it. Like it was a comment from a viewer being like, so can you talk about like the fake followers on your Instagram? I'm like, fuck, shit of doodles. That's my Instagram account. That's why I'm over it, basically. I'm like, it's all fakery. I'm not being fake right now, you guys. This is actually me, but this is why I'm only focusing on the YouTube. And right now I'm hearing like, stop talking. Stop talking, MJ. Just keep loving yourself. Because it's the love inside that it can help me harmonize my own bullshit. and I love showing up here with you guys, basically. So, pardon me. Still clearing out lots of deep layers of resentment and shame, okay? With hot love vibrashe. It's sometimes so tiring to have to keep looking at all the shitty perspectives we've inherited from various ancestors and our own bullshitty karma of pain and separation. Anywho, you guys are still here. Well done. I sometimes in this mode, I like skip out on myself, or it's just like, just shush, just stop talking, but you're still talking. I'm like, I know, the lights are still on. I'm still here. I'm still sharing on the YouTube familia. I love you. I love you. You don't know this. So, okay. The point is, you do ultimately believe in yourself. You're going to let this tower moment come down. You're basically walking away from the shaznaz. And you're coming out of the prison of your mind. How? Why? You're going to be manifesting some mega opportunities of many different spectrums and colors. A fulfillment sense, climbing mountains, going to castles. There is an essence here of material abundance, because one of the cups has jewels and wreaths and crowns. So whether you're wanting some recognition or wanting more playtime or wanting more sexy vibrashe. Seven of Cups is saying that's what you're manifesting now in the throne as your Queen of Pentacle. You know, it's like finally anchoring in the truth of your divine feminine, and then laying aside and laying to die, laying to rest. Let the Earth Akash take care of all that shaznaz. You don't need to carry it with you anymore. That's why the Death card is here. You're doing and ultimately making peace with that totality and shedding the shackles of your past, future, anything external to the nowness of your wholeness, okay? So this is legit awesome. And it's about frickin' time, because it's, come on, but this has been years in the making. 5 years, 7 years. So now I'm just pulling out some Osho cards. I like to take the Osho cards for like spiritual wisdom. Yeah. This one was the first one that popped out, which is to me the next phase of the flowering of our consciousness. And then this card, which comes up as the participation here. We participate in the life that we desire. What, my friends? Some more participation from MJ back on the YouTube. And this, I feel, this is community based as well. There could be an integral community that you become part of. I had the deck once, the only deck I ever owned. Hey, same. Osho, I bought this Osho deck back in 2012 or 2013. Who knew? Who knew that I'd be, you know, reading tarot? And then even my Rider-Waite deck, I actually probably about, I don't know, a year or two ago, I actually found the Rider-Waite tarot deck with a little book, a book on what tarot is, basically like a learning manual, in my mom's storage. You know, I don't even think she knew she had it. I just found it. And then since then, quite a few of all yo guys, I think like 3 or 4 of you have sent me tarot decks, which like is so cool to receive. One of them is here. The other one is in my trunk. Simply because like I actually find the images quite scary. It's like a horror deck, and I'm like, I'm scared. This one, the vice versa. You know who you are, who sent it to me. I have to learn it, basically. I was doing readings with it, and then I realized like I wasn't even sure what some of it, because it didn't say. So it's like I still have to learn that one. That will come in time. I'm sure my tarot decks will evolve as I continue to evolve as well. So let me get to the spiritual advice or the divine guidance. Ultimately, there is a sense of participation. I'm intuiting that for some of you it just means maybe starting a new class or going to something new in the physical, you know, or joining these kind of communities online and feeling like we're participating. And this is a mandala effect to me, which means that you're co-creating from a conscious place in unity with the totality of the community, which is, again, a more harmonious way of co-creating and participation versus unconscious group consciousness. That's my perspective and how I'm intuiting the reading. So trust, basically, and I'm, again, getting like trust the intuition. This card came up and it flipped out in the reverse, and this is important because it, especially with this death process, don't compromise your truth. That's an ultimate teaching with Law of Attraction as well, and or specifically in my journey in A Course in Miracles. In A Course in Miracles, there's no compromise. A compromise is actually an illusion of separation, and it's a bullshitty one. We're all essentially taught like, well, sometimes you just have to sacrifice, or sometimes you just have to compromise, or sometimes you have to, not in the truth of your integrity and beingness on a soul level. You don't compromise your knowing for other. Essentially, that's part maybe why this card here is showing me somebody's leaving. Somebody you ain't taking with you is gonna leave. because for them to stick around, either they or you would have to compromise your integrity too much. Which, let's be honest, if any of us in relationship or communion are wanting to build something up and we're not feeling whole, then it's an unstable foundation. Wholeness comes from the fact that we do not compromise ourselves. And yeah, it's radical because we all had to disconnect at some point, usually to fit in, if that's what you resonate with, to the world, to the system, to whatever this weird reality is, right? And then if we're wanting to truly manifest and create something whole and harmonious, then we, the being, have to become whole and harmonious. It's radical. And the multi-layeredness of how we compromise, I can only just reiterate the fucking the intensity of it. You know, I thought 3 years ago, yeah, I'm whole, I know my shit, and like now 3 years ago I'm like, oh my, this is completely different. My bad, I thought you were doing the cards. I am, but like I noodle. So the actually tarot is a fairly new thing, which I did. The cards are here. I am doing a reading as much as I'm doing the noodle shares, because that's what I do. I ramble on for life. But there's usually some nuggets of wisdom within the rambles as well. That's just par for the way, because I just like to be really open and honest with this community. I am an author, and I authored a book, and people would often call me a spiritual teacher. I prefer a philosopher or spiritual entertainer. I like to entertain these ideas. At the end of the day, I'm just a human like everybody else, and I'm pretty sure all the other spiritual gurus out there are also human like everybody else. And I'm a huge advocate of feeling your emotions and just doing whatever serves you best to feel okay, which again, many spiritual teachers wouldn't necessarily propagate that. They want to propagate like a way, and I'm not into that. I'm like, you're the way. You're the way for you as I am for me, and let's just try to be like fucking nice to each other. Pardon my language, I do swear. I have a bit of a potty mouth, small town Canadian girl right here. What? Even though like it's my dad who's like, Molly, stop with the F's and the shits and I'm like, I'm sorry, Dad, I'll try better. But then it just fumbles out of my mouth. I'm not sure why. So back to the cards. Yes, don't compromise yourself. All right. Thanks. Don't compromise. It doesn't work. You can try, but if you're compromising yourself, essentially what you're doing is hooking in codependencies. Oh, we can only really transform those them well, and then uplift them. The support that we, and the insight keeps coming in for me. It's to do with a lot of the kind of ceremonies and the setting my intentions and having to write it down. That's a layer that's starting to get almost tiresome for me. You know, I don't need to write it down. The universe already knows everything. Journey out of conformity into clarity. Well put, Scott. Like, I think we could all resonate with that. Conform, and then, you know, clarity of the self. And so the writing down of intentions. So like, I have to manifest. I'm like, well, that's really counterintuitive or paradoxical, because if I am the world and the world is me, and I am the universe and the universe is me, then it already knows my deepest heartfelt desire. So why am I trying? Why do I have to write it down? Why, my incessant writing it down is actually holding it away. It's keeping it as a pattern rather than the manifest itself. And according to this reading, let's just drop into the truth of the manifestation self. Trust the knowingness completely. Be knowing rather than believing in chasing the self-actualization or the realization. Be in the knowing. And then this card, right? Be in the knowing of your purity and innocence, yo. It's like a relief. It's a relief to kind of feel the trust. Believe in yourself, my lovers, because it's here. Don't put up with the shit. You don't need to compromise. You don't need to give your power to externals. You take the blindfolds off. And I got to say in the live share today, and then also in the fakery share, there's other layers, which again I'll testify to, like the resentment and the fear and then just self-loathing and things like that. They're all coming up for us to just look at and be like, can we just let these go? Can we just trust in the divine? I think we can. I'm not pulling more cards, my loves. That was it for today. I really, really love and appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for choosing love. Thanks for booking private readings and coaching sessions and buying Alta Love merch so that I can keep doing my work. Yeah, and check out the Be the Change online courses. I'm coming to finish and I'm feeling rather chuffed about them all. So I love you guys loads. I thank you. I really appreciate your guys' comments and just your being here. Things have really, yeah, things are unfolding really quite beautifully. And I'm going to honor that. I'm going to take the win there. And I'm going to probably have a pretty chill day and get back to some editing. So I love you guys. Have an awesome sleep, maybe, or day, wherever you are in the world. I am sending out a big hot love vibrashe and virtual hugs. Virtual hug. Virtual. I'm hugging the screen. For any of you who are new here, okay, I'm hugging the screen. Jordan, I'm just winding down. For most of all y'all are about to go to sleep, I know this. And the sun, it's still quite dark out there. The sun is just starting to come up here in England. So I love you guys. And that's, hey, Scott, I can reflect back to you. In all, aside from all of the like seriousness or whatever, this is really for fun. It's like, again, I talked earlier about like the pressure. Ugh. I'm like, this is the most fun place for me. And then there's a little bit of shame that comes up around that. I'm like, oh my God, what has my life become? But that's okay. I love you guys. And big shout out. What? Hug, hug. Mwah. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug. I love you guys. Have a great day. And thank you for being here, for sharing, for bringing all that juice. I love you. Peace out, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.